Hello and welcome to the WhirlyBloke channel. Here we are at the end of 2019 and it's definitely been an awesome year. So here's my end of year roundup and what I think we can expect for 2020. First of all, a massive thank you to everyone who's watched the videos I've made this year, especially my subscribers and Patreon supporters. I'm always amazed by the positive comments and feedback that I get. And I do try to read all the comments and answer any questions, but if I've missed yours, it's probably just because I'm maxed out with my day job. Now, I don't particularly set any goals for the channel, I just bumble along doing things that interest me. And looking at the channel analytics is extremely humbling. This year, there's been 15,500 hours of watch time on my videos. Now, I know everyone seems to get hung up on their subscriber count, which is just a vanity thing really, but 15,500 hours of people watching me witter on about things is quite honestly staggering. And I've tried to get a video out each week, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. But the benefit is I don't rely on my channel being monetized, so you're not going to see any adverts. It does mean YouTube don't help me on promoting the channel and the growth is mainly organic. So I'm really pleased with the way things have gone this year. And I've tried to mix up the content between reviews of stuff I find interesting, tutorials and builds. But if you've got something you'd like to see, please leave a comment or drop me a message on Facebook or Twitter and all the links are down here. Again, many thanks for all your support this year. There's no doubt that Toothpick quads and cine whoops like this were the big thing in 2019, and it looks like every manufacturer added at least one or other to their product range. And when the market was looking a bit glum around July, some sort of toothpick or cine whoop would appear. And of course the quality was variable. The Happy Model Lava X seemed to be everyone's favourite toothpick, and there's no doubt it's a good quad. But for me, this HGL RC Parrot 120 is better. It's faster and it flies longer and the tune is better. It's just more fun. And I've got the newer Parrot 132 on its way, so it'll be interesting to see how that stands up. And cine whoops come in all shapes and sizes, but for me, the standout was this Mega Bee from iFlight, if you want a bind and fly solution. And this is a proper cine whoop that will take a GoPro Hero and capture 4K quality footage. The smaller whoops with the split or dual sensor cameras don't really deliver the same quality. They're just 2 and 3 inch quads with ducts, and they probably don't need ducts. The only real reason for ducts is to be able to fly near soft targets safely, like people, and it gives you a bit more thrust to carry a heavy GoPro in confined spaces and indoors. And if you're going to fly outdoors in the same way as you'd fly a 5 inch, just use a 5 inch. It'll fly a whole lot better. And although this Mega Bee is awesome, I think the Shendrone Squirt V2 is fundamentally a better design. But you're going to have to build it yourself. But for me, the quad of the year was this iFlight DC3 with the DJI Air unit and the goggles, like these. Check out my review for the full details, but this is a fantastic quad for doing just about anything, from long-range cruising and acro to cine whoop style and slow flow. The once awesome Diatone seemed to be struggling a bit with companies like Gep RC and iFlight producing great quads this year. The R349 was brilliant, but that was about it. Hopefully 2020 will bring something new and exciting. And Arbantan have just released the Tadpole toothpick size quad, which is also going to be very interesting, and mine's been ordered. Now, of course, the big announcement was these DJI digital FPV goggles, which are a staggering achievement. Despite what you might think about DJI taking over the hobby, the goggles are superb. And remember, it was only last year everyone was saying digital FPV was never going to be possible because of the latency. And here we are now with a system that works, and it works very well indeed. Sure, it's got a few problems, but what other goggle manufacturer has issued 2 significant firmware updates in as many months? For the moment, they're listening to the market and delivering what it wants. Will it continue? Well, who knows. But for now, we should just embrace it. And to be honest, I think longer term, DJI have bigger plans for these goggles for live sports coverage. It's a huge market compared to FPV quads, and even though they're expensive, it'll take a long time to recoup their initial development and production costs from this small FPV market. And I think Fat Shark are resting too much on their reputation, and if they're not too careful, they're going to lose market share, even if the die-hard DJI haters refuse to switch. For a large, commercially and technically rich company, DJI are the disruptors, which is usually the place for startups. And the Bifrost was the only real direction Fat Shark could take. It's clever, but I'm not sure it'll stand up with new digital systems from other manufacturers that are bound to appear next year. And if you thought DJI was going to muscle in on our hobby and effectively force the other goggle companies out, analog or digital, far from it. In 2020, I fully predict it will kick the market so hard you'll see other companies producing competitor products to this. Even now, the Orca FPV-1 is making noise for analog, but look out for competing digital FPV systems. It's going to be exciting times in 2020, and we all benefit. And I'm really hopeful SkyZone will get bigger and better in 2020. The fantastic 03 OLEDs are now my daily analog goggles. And if they can get the external module sorted so I can use my Owl RC diversity receiver, I'll be a happy chappy. Will they be bringing out a digital system? That'd be interesting. And talking of DJI, they better watch out for Skydio. The Skydio 2 is the only real competitor they've had in the prosumer market. They've taken a very different approach to autonomous drones, and that looks to be an area DJI hasn't really covered. And I haven't seen one in the wild yet, but the reviews are exceptional. And if Skydio can get the software honed even further and apply it to enterprise class drones, they'll have a winner for inspection survey and the emergency services. It'd be nice to see in 2020 for DJI to have a proper challenger. I thought about getting a Mavic Mini, but I'm saving my pennies for a Skydio 2. Or maybe upgrade my Mavic to a Mavic 3 in January, if it appears. Have you noticed this year the quiet demise of the single ESC? Sure, they're still being used, but the all-in-one boards have become very, very reliable and make your builds so much easier, especially when you use an all-in-one flight stack. And I remember when everyone was questioning using 4-in-1 ESCs because they'd have to throw it away if one of the ESCs failed. I'm sure it's happened, but I've had no issues at all this year. And the KISS single ESCs used to just randomly burst into flames a couple of times a year. And where are KISS now? I used to use their V2 flight controller on all my builds, and I just loved the way it flew. I don't consciously remember switching over to Betaflight, it just sort of happened as it got better and better. And I haven't flown a KISS flight controller for at least 18 months. So I need to take a look at what's happening with them. Maybe I should dust off my old KISS quads and take them out for a spin. Last month in the UK, we had to register all drones over 250 grams, and we had to take a completely stupid competency test. Now, fortunately, I've got a PFCO, which means I'm exempt from the test, but I did it anyway, just for a laugh. And I know there's an educational element to the test, but if you fail all the questions, it tells you what the answers are at the end and just lets you take them again. Exactly the same questions in exactly the same order. Utter madness. Anyway, that's not it. In July 2020, there's going to be another shake-up with the EASA drone regulations coming into play. I've had a quick look and the main focus is safety and risk management. I'm not going to worry about this too much for a few months because things still haven't been nailed down yet, and there's too many worriers and complainers making all sorts of gloom and doom noises about it. But with DJI really pushing the Mavic Mini as being the perfect Christmas present that's dead easy to fly and not expensive, we probably need measures in place and education. And because they've got minimal proximity sensors, in fact I don't think they've got any, I bet loads of them will end up as a crashed pile of bits. So what can you expect from me in 2020? Well, I've already got some interesting quads and flight controllers lined up. I've got all these guys over here to look at. And I'm going to be looking at some F7 DJI plug and play all-in-one stacks, because I suspect that we're going to be seeing lots more of those next year. And I'm planning to refurb a couple of my 2019 drones and upgrade them to use the DJI Air unit and the flight controllers, particularly this 6-inch GEP RC Crocodile. This is an awesome long-range quad. And I've got this TBS Cine Rat that's got to be built. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised TBS bothered with the Cinewoot market. It doesn't really seem their thing. But I've got an interesting twist for this guy. And I haven't completely decided yet, but I may switch over to the Jumper T16 Pro transmitter and say goodbye to this. So if I do, I'll be doing a whole load of tutorials. FR Sky are coming over all Apple in their product approach and market practices, and that really doesn't sit well with me. Again, many thanks to all my subscribers and Patreon supporters. Hopefully you had as much fun as I did in 2019, and let's see what 2020 brings. And as always, thanks for watching, and if you found that useful, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment, and if it's your first visit, then please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the bell to get notified when I post a new video. I'll see you next time and have a great 2020.